let's keep this rolling and talk about some playoff scenarios. We talked a little bit about a one-loss Tennessee versus the loser of Ohio State, Michigan. Who gets in? Go check that out if you haven't yet. Here's one scenario that I think is becoming increasingly more fascinating. What would the committee do with a one-loss Tennessee and then a one-loss conference champion, USC? Now, I want to make this very clear to start this whole segment. This segment is not my opinion on who I would put in, okay? I would love to be on the committee. My invitation somehow got lost in the mail, and so they told me I got to wait a little bit to be on the committee. So what do I think those individuals would do when it comes to Selection Sunday, given that whole situation? The first thing to note, this only matters if TCU loses, all right? Or excuse me, only if TCU wins out. Let me rephrase that. This situation only matters if TCU wins out, because you likely would have a team like Georgia as a 1 seed, winner of Ohio State, Michigan, likely wins the Big Ten. They're a 2 seed. If TCU wins out, they will have a spot. So there is one spot left for that 4th seed, or that 4th spot, rather. Is it a Tennessee or is it a USC? I'm going to tell you what I think the committee would do. Let's start with the resume. Tennessee currently has 5 ranked wins. A lot of those came earlier in the year. USC right now has no ranked wins, but this is crucial. If they were to win out on paper, that would look something like 3 wins potentially that are all against ranked teams. You got UCLA, at UCLA, however you want to phrase that. It's at the Rose Bowl, so it's, an Uber drive away. Then you got Notre Dame. Right now, they're ranked. They play Boston College this week. You're rooting for the Irish. Win one for the Gippers, so when we play you, hopefully we can get another ranked win. And then, in theory, you would play another ranked team in the Pac-12 title. Fingers are crossed, praying, wishing, hoping that's Oregon, because that could potentially be the highest ranked Pac-12 team that you would play. Utah might be nice too to avenge your loss if you're USC, but I think just from an optics standpoint, you'd like to play Oregon because of how high they are ranked. So on paper right now, even if USC wins out, it's 3 ranked wins, the advantage from a resume standpoint, you could argue is Tennessee. But then what do you do with USC being a conference champion? I would subscribe to either thought there. I think the committee will appreciate that USC is a conference champion. So the second part of this, for the committee, I believe timing matters. Now, what do I mean by that? For Tennessee, they don't have the gauntlet really left in front of them. Like we said, they got South Carolina at South Carolina, then they got Vanderbilt. I mean, not a ton of meat on the bone, right? Not really the most exciting matchups. You're not tuning in saying, wow, I can't wait to watch, Tennessee Vandy. No disrespect to Clark Lee and his program. I hope that's a game that matters in the future. It's not going to be one that matters this week or the coming weeks or this year. It's unfortunate. For USC, it's kind of teed up well, right? In the month of November, you got at UCLA, like I said, Notre Dame, and then you have a Pac-12 championship game. All 3 of those would be, I think, exciting for the committee. What I mean by that is, for Tennessee, the committee remembers what they did. They remember the win against LSU, which continues to look better. They remember the win against a ranked Pitt team. They remember the win against Alabama. Like, they remember all those things. For USC, that would be fresh in their mind. Like, that would be the last thing they see of USC. The last thing they see of Tennessee would be beating Vanderbilt. So that's where the 13th data point comes in. And that's where I get a little bit nervous if I'm a Tennessee fan. Because if all things are equal, and they're all one-sided wins for both these programs going forward, which is asking a little bit more of USC, how does the committee treat that? What do you do if you're the committee in that regard? I would say this. For me, I would favor Tennessee to beat USC on a neutral field. Like, if they played tomorrow in Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta, I would lean towards Tennessee winning that football game. Now, if it happens, we'll preview, we'll predict it, and it'll be a great time because it's probably a college football playoff game. But for the committee, having USC playing on a weekend during Conference Championship Saturday and Tennessee watching at home, I don't think it bodes well for Tennessee. I think the Conference Championship game is something the committee really values. Whether it's right or wrong, I think they value that a lot. Because a lot of people are going to say, well, the Pac-12 is this, the Pac-12 is that. Hey, man, UCLA, Utah, and Oregon have all brought it this year. According to the committee, those teams are all very, very worthy opponents. So, with that being said, regardless of how I feel about Tennessee and how good they are and how many points they score, that 13th data point is the backbreaker for the Vols. I think USC on Selection Sunday, if they win out, I think they control their own destiny, especially if they win in one-sided fashion. I think USC would be that team that gets in. Again, this is only relevant if TCU goes undefeated. So if you're another, Tennessee fan saying, well, there's no way this happens. It doesn't have to happen. It's all on TCU. They still have to handle business. They still have to, beat Baylor this weekend. Baylor would love to play spoiler, to play Iowa State, and they play the Big 12 title game, probably be Kansas State. They have to beat a second time. It will be difficult for TCU, but if they do it, and USC is a one-loss conference champion, I think they're the team that gets in that last spot. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.